play up-tempo, but can they play as fast as Phoenix? They're going to have to find out tonight if they get in that kind of game. If they finish in second, they might have to decide from game to game at what tempo they want to play.
The Suns with the opening 10 man. You see Cedric Ceballos is getting the start here instead of Richard Dumas because he rebounds a little better. Charles Barkley opens up over Sam Perkins. He hits the jumper, shakes his head like he can't guard me.
Exactly. You were reading my mind there, Bob. Like, Sam Perkins, you better come out here. You can't play me.
Here is Gary Payton being defended by Kevin Johnson.
You're going to see on all screen rolls involving Gary Payton, they will go underneath the screen. There's a big shot for Sean Kemp. We'll show you later that his numbers are way down on the road to what he does at home. They need big games out of him in this building if they want to steal a game on the road.
And early in this game, Charles Barkley is matched up on Kemp. Dan Marley with the penetration. Out of bounds, it belongs to Phoenix with 7 on the shot clock.
Bob, I think another good sign, you look out there and you see Kevin Johnson. He does not have that knee brace he played early with, so his knee must be feeling much better. That will help his mobility.
Ceballos from long range. That is not his game. He is a cutter and a slasher. It is out of bounds off Gary Payton. Phoenix ball.
Now, Ceballos is starting in place of Richard Dumas. Why? More experience and a better rebounder to play against this Seattle front line. Will that have an effect on the game? I don't think so. They are such interchangeable players.
Kevin Johnson from the corner. Kevin Johnson having a whale of a series. Specifically, if you talk to him about it, his defense has definitely picked up as the seasons went along. He'll be guarding Gary Payton. Left open in the corner is Derek McKee. Tied at 4. Opening moments, quarter number 1. Wide open down low is Mark West. Not surprising to you, Doug, right?
No, they're going to try to go to Mark West a little bit tonight because Seattle is not going to play him, so they have to be very careful. You don't give Mark West 10 or 12 points because you don't respect his game.
Sean Kemp, defended by Mark West. Kicks it back out to Perkins, to Payton. Rebound Marley. You see that Dan Marley is initiating the offense. Kevin Johnson doesn't have to be the guy to pull the trigger every time. Barkley powers inside the foul on the penetration before the shot.
See, 2 years ago, KJ was such an important part of this team. Had he faltered and not played well, the team would have really struggled. With his injuries this year, they have learned to play a different style of game. So now with him back, they have more guys who can initiate their offense. So the trapping against KJ might not be as effective this year had it would have been in the past.
Phoenix turnover. That personal foul, by the way, is on Sean Kemp of Seattle, his first of the ball game. We have a 6-4 Suns lead. Sonics ball, 9:46 to go in the first quarter. Game 1, Western Conference Finals. Beautiful move by Gary Payton. He took it away and then brought it back.
Yeah, Gary Payton loves to get you coming towards the middle and then reverse you and make that little baseline move, so they got to be very aware of that. Push him to the middle where you can get some help.
Now Charles Barkley being defended by the long arms of Sam Perkins. The double team. Here is Sean Kemp showing up. Barkley throws it away.
It's a lazy pass by Charles Barkley. Normally he handles double teams much better than that. Sean Kemp is the double teamer. Mark West will be the guy free underneath the basket in the rotations.
Looking for Kemp, posted against Barkley. Kemp at 6'10", Barkley at 6'4.5". Flat jump shot from the key doesn't go. Out on the break, Ceballos. He's hard to stop going to the basket. It's 8-6 Phoenix.
Long shots, long rebounds. Ceballos loves to release, as does Richard Dumas. You do not want to give him easy scores. And speaking of easy scores, how about Sam Perkins' three-point shooting now, Bob, in the playoffs? He's now 18 for 45, right at 40%.
Ceballos down the lane. He is fouled, and maybe by Ricky Pierce. Ricky Pierce, first personal of the ball game. 9-8 Seattle. They took the lead on that triple.
I watched Paul Westphal, and as they came down the floor, he looked over at his defense and he said, make Perkins put it on the floor. Make him dribble. So the scouting report is don't let him stand out there and shoot those threes. He's very, very effective. We've seen what he can do in the previous 2 series.
Cedric Ceballos, the former NBA slam dunk champion. There's Sam Perkins. What a trade from Los Angeles. They give up a guy they didn't really want in Benoit Benjamin, a guy they didn't have in Doug Christie, and they get Sam Perkins here, and he is really the man who's helped elevate them to the Western Conference
Yes, he has.
Finals.
I don't think they'd be here without Sam Perkins. When he hit it, the last 10 shots he took against Houston, remember the spinning shot he hit to put them up 3 late in that ball game. So he's played sensational ball in the playoffs for the Sonics.
John Kemp can't hold it in the middle. Seattle quickly back in transition.
I think this is a good move. Go at West inside, get some respect.
He has 4 points. West not known as an offensive player, but he can certainly score on that one. Sam Perkins goes down, tripped up by Dan Marley.
Well, let's talk about now this Seattle team a little bit. They're coming off on a very emotional 7-game series against the Rockets. The Suns have had some rest, so I think tonight will be one of 2 things for Seattle. I think they'll play a very close emotional game and use it as a high coming off that series, or they could be still a little flat and they could get blown out tonight. I don't think there's going to be any middle ground. I think it's either going to be a real close game or I think Phoenix could jump on them here tonight.
Gary Payton. 8:08 to go, first quarter. Ricky Pierce misses from the corner, and Charles Barkley is fouled out high by Derek McKee, who picked him up as he came across the timeline. That's McKee's first personal. And the 3rd team foul on Seattle.
See, now one more foul and then Phoenix will be shooting free throws. We talked about how important the free throw line is for the Suns and for the Sonics not to allow them to get there. So we'll keep our eye on that story as the game goes along.
Marley again on the penetration. Tough shot. Rebound Kemp. He has a man way out there, but nice defense. He can't get the outlet. Payton. The pull-up from 16.
Boy, really pulled the string on that. He had a horrible shooting game against the Rockets in Game 7.
Charles Barkley just rambling out of control. On the rampage, Charles is loose.
Looks like Charles' hamstrings are feeling much better. After that Spurs series, he's had a little bit of rest. He looks like he's been revitalized.
13-9 Phoenix. It's the biggest early lead in this game. 7:15 to go in the first quarter.
Got some good matchups. Marley against Ricky Pierce.
Perkins turnaround on the baseline. Barkley kept it alive, but there's McKee, misses the tip-in. Kemp and West will jump it up. Ooh, that got pretty rough down there.
Yeah, I think the players, though, did a good job. They got away from each other. They just were hustling for the basketball. You can see the multiple shot opportunities, though, by Seattle. McKee misses an easy one in the great hustle. You see the importance of this game to both players and both teams as they're on the floor here early for loose balls.
It'll be jumped up with Kemp and Mark West. 7:02 to go in the quarter. And Jess Kersey says they stole the tip, but nevertheless it'll be Phoenix ball.
So you're seeing Kevin Johnson go down the floor. Now, the reason they're doing this is to not allow the Sonics to run and jump and trap. So they're taking KJ off the ball, allowing Marley to handle it against Pierce to try to take away their scrambling defense, jump defense. I think we're going to have an illegal one right there.
Sean Kemp came to double Charles Barkley. That'll be the first. It'll simply be a warning. We have 6:47 to go in the first quarter. A 4-point Phoenix lead. Here is Charles on the run. A 5-0 run with 6:48 to go. Let's take a look at this illegal defense call.
All right, if we stop this right here, Bob, all right, this is Sean Kemp. Now, if this is Kevin Johnson, you're going to see a trapping double team. It's not him, so you're going to allow them now just to hold it up a little bit. You're going to run it forward. We'll show you where the illegal defense occurs. Right here. If you stop it, this guy is illegal. He's got his foot on this side of the weak side. His man is over here, so that's where the illegal defense occurs. The next one will be a technical free throw.
It'll be inbounded Phoenix. New shot clock on the sideline. Dan Marley. Inbounds. He's been handling the ball a great deal early on because Gary Payton is keeping the ball out of the hands of point guard Kevin Johnson. Barkley, there's the double team. 10 to shoot. Marley, tough shot.
Boy, really a tough shot. Looks like he shot that with his left hand off the glass.
He did, in fact. And he called bank shots. And left hand, okay. Perkins. Excellent interior defense by Phoenix. Barkley, Kevin Johnson. Phoenix 6-0 on fast break points early in this game.
Well, Phoenix has the tempo where they want it. I think Seattle right now is going to have to get back in transition. We talk about the transition defense, but Phoenix loves to run at home. It's a team that averaged 113 points a game, #1 during the regular season.
Foul center, 21, Mark West.
Mark West called for the personal. That's his second
team foul. Number 10, Nate McMillan. Into the Sonics line. On shooting foul.
Nate McMillan checks in for the Seattle SuperSonics. He plays very well against Phoenix.
He's their stabilizer, Gary. He's a guy that can play 3 positions for them, really calms them down in moments like this. So I think that's why you see George Karl go to him early, especially on the road.
Derek McKee with a mismatch against Kevin Johnson, but Kevin got him off balance there. McMillan opening as Marley got airborne, and McMillan gets his first basket of the game, and the Sonics hadn't scored in about 3 minutes.
There's Seattle at its best right there. The trapping defense, force the double team, turnover, layup. That's what you have to avoid against the Sonics. That's the way they score their points. Offensive rebounding and the turnovers.
And now some full court pressure from Seattle. McMillan got it out ahead to McKee for the slam dunk. It's a 4-point Suns game.
You see, Nate McMillan is also in the game right now. He's a better defender than Pierce. They see Marley handling the ball, so they're going to pressure him and try to force turnovers. That's another illegal defense.
And this time they'll be shooting the technical free throw and get the ball back as Danny Ainge checks in for Phoenix in place of Dan Marley.
That's an early substitution. Normally Dan Marley does not come out of the game. He's sitting down early. He's averaging over 40 minutes a game in the playoffs.
It surprises most people that the man with the most minutes for Phoenix is not Charles Barkley, but Dan Marley.
Well, when we had some games in there early, we talked to Paul Westphal, and he says, the guy I just don't want to take off the court is Dan Marley. And you see Marley getting a quick early rest. Maybe this might do the matchups also. Maybe he wants Danny Ainge against Nate McMillan, so you just never know in the chess match between coaches what they want to get accomplished.
Good production from Marley early. 2 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. Handled the ball a great deal. Of course, Danny Ainge can do likewise. They're trying to keep it away from Kevin Johnson so he doesn't penetrate and dish to Charles Barkley.
One of the keys, containing the penetrating drives of Kevin Johnson. And you see when he gets inside, he draws big people because he can finish, then he can deliver it. He's averaging almost 20 points and 10 assists after having a subpar for him regular season because of injuries.
Charles Barkley has 6 points early on here for Phoenix.
Gary, I should say subpar with statistics. He's played very, very well, but his numbers are down.
Sean Kemp with the tip in.
He's a 2-on-1.
4th point. Danny Ainge fade away from 8 feet. Oh my, Ceballos back hard and lays it in. Nice touch by Cedric Ceballos, who has 5 points in his start here in place of Richard Dumas. Inside to Perkins, blocked by Mark West. That's on Kemp, and that's his second.
Now, Bob, had he been a right-handed player, he would have been able to finish his shot. He's a lefty, so what does he do? He brings it right back to Mark West where he can block it.
You'd think he could shoot with his right hand from 3 inches.
Those lefties, I tell you, sometimes it's tough to even get them to shake hands right-handed.
Here comes the mail.
That's all right.
My dad will be one of them. Charles Barkley. For 3, not this time. Nate McMillan has Seattle running. Michael Cage has stepped in. McMillan kicks it to him, but first he's fouled.
See, when you look at this Seattle team on the floor right now, when you sit Ricky Pierce down, the one thing you lose is any perimeter shooting. You've got McKee, you have Kemp, you have Cage, you have McMillan and Payton. Not a great perimeter shooter, so wait to see how long it takes for George Karl maybe to come in with Eddie Johnson, because he needs either Pierce or Eddie Johnson stroking the outside jump shot to free up some space inside for the big people.
Chambers comes in for Mark West. Tom Chambers just had a nightmare of the playoffs until the last game against San Antonio where he really broke out of a slump.
Well, you can see it looks like Westfall, when Perkins sits down and they come in with Cage, they'll come in with Chambers because they're both actually forwards.
Charles Barkley comes up with a brick thrown up there by Kemp.
Boy, Charles is really pushing the ball up the floor. This is like his younger days in Philly where he'd go inline to inline handling the basketball.
Danny Ainge for three.
Sabalas active on the glass.
And the putback for Cedric. He has 7.
That's 2 offensive rebounds. So Paul Westfall said he gives us more experience and better rebounding. That's 2 offensive rebounds for scores and 7 quick points.
Michael Cage, they'll give him this shot.
I said, okay, I'll take it then. So take that, Bob Neal.
Yeah, you don't think I have a jumping
I got a VCR at home. I've heard you talk about my jump shot.
My Eddie Johnson's got, speaking of jump shots, about to check it again.
That's what I talked about. You need a perimeter scorer.
Good play by Sean Kemp. Peyton has Kemp with him.
Seattle loves to get out. Now they're number 1 in steals, number 1 in forced turnovers in the regular season, 18 a game. And that's where they make their bread and butter. You're going to see the double team right there. You see McKee and McMillan. Here they come. They're trapping. It's a soft trap just to get him to use time on the clock.
Kevin Johnson with the penetration. The kick to Danny Ainge. It's a 2. It's not even a 2. It rims out, and Seattle running again.
4 on 2. Boy, oh boy, the fast break opportunities from Seattle. You can see when they run, they're a devastating team.
Seattle is now within 2 points, and they're on a 6-0 run.
2 minutes, 2 minutes.
They get called an offensive foul, Bob, on KJ. He thought he got hit on the wrist. He left his feet, tried to drop the ball off. Someone stepped in and forced the offensive foul, so that'll be the second on Kevin Johnson.
With 1:59 to go in the first quarter, and there is a timeout on the floor, and here you look at it again, and there's the offensive call on Kevin Johnson. Phoenix has 3 turnovers in the last 3 minutes. Seattle on a 6-0 run.
And this is how it happens. KJ comes into the lane. He tries to penetrate. You see the long arms of Kemp knocking the ball down. Kevin Johnson's reaction, uh-oh. And here comes the finish by Sean Kemp. So Seattle out running in the open court. Now, best kept secret, Seattle number 1 in the NBA in point differential. And interestingly enough, the team 7 of the last 10 seasons to have the number 1 point differential has gone on to win the NBA championship. You see first in forced turnovers, first in steals, and 5th in total team defense. This is a team built on defense.
Marley and Frank Johnson back in the game. Frank Johnson for the first time. And we've got a tie at 23.
Frankie Johnson into the game now with Kevin Johnson having 2 quick fouls, so they're going to lean on his experience here right now. Let's see if Sonics really go at him, try to force some turnovers with him on the floor.
Sean Kemp has 8 points early here for Seattle. He's 4 out of 5.
See, he's got 3 dunks.
That's a good way to score. 4 to shoot. The block. 2 seconds on the shot clock.
Bob, what kind of teams give Phoenix trouble? Not tough teams. Phoenix is a tough team. Tall, long teams. And look at what Seattle has on the floor right now. 6'8", 6'9", 6'9", long arms.
Barkley had to shoot that when there was only 2 seconds on the shot clock on the inbound play.
Makes it very difficult to see over double teams. Seattle's a very long, aggressive, lanky team.
Peyton gets the shorter. Frankie Johnson in the paint, misses the jump shot.
Gary, you're going to watch his release. He's pulling the string. No follow through. He's shooting a knuckleball right now at the basket.
There's Frank Johnson on the drive. He came in. Peyton gets the foul. He came in games 5 and 6 in the San Antonio series for Paul Westfall and played some excellent defense and also is a good ball handler when they're keeping the ball out of the hands of Kevin Johnson or when Kevin has to rest.
He's their energizer, the guy that gives them high energy. Paul Westfall feels very comfortable putting him into the game. Miguel Knight, when Kevin Johnson was out, was actually the starter because Frankie Johnson was so good coming off the bench with the high energy. So that's just knowing your team, what the personality is and what they bring. As we see Oliver Miller into the game now for Charles Barkley. So both teams going deep into their benches. Paul Westfall told us today he'd probably play 10 guys.
Oliver Miller, the rookie who's lost about 50 to 55 pounds, is an excellent shot blocker, averaging 4 blocked shots per game in the playoffs. Make that 3 in the playoffs, 4 in the regular season.
George Karl said today, he said, that's the guy who's really the wild card. We're not really sure what he's going to do for this team.
scrambling around for the ball, and a green-shirted Eddie Johnson comes up with it. Suns lead it by 1. 30 seconds to go in the quarter.
Pearson's going to post Ricky Johnson.
Offensive foul on Pierce. Frankie Johnson, the veteran. Paul Westphal said in that San Antonio series when he came in Game 5 and played so well, Frankie Johnson earned his paycheck in this game. That's why we got him for the playoffs.
Well, Bob, you look at this. Ricky Pierce has the size advantage. Just go up strong and go with the shot. You know that Frankie Johnson's going to play position and take the charge because he cannot contest his shot. So Ricky Pierce must be aware of who's playing him.
Frank Johnson out of Wake Forest, 8 years in the NBA and in Europe and CBA. He's been around.
High screen roll here. Miller will set the screen on McMillan. Frank Johnson will look to penetrate. Marley maybe look for a 3.
Marley with a left-handed scoop, grabbed by Kemp. And the time runs out in the first period with the Phoenix Suns leading it by 1. Seattle closes the quarter on an 8-1 spurt. The last 3 minutes and 10 seconds caused by Phoenix turnovers and Seattle defense. Bob Neal and Doug Collins with you from America West Arena. Suns lead it by 1. Sean Kemp leads all scorers. They call him the Rain Man.
Well, this is a great play. They post Barkley. Now, I'll tell you why this is important. He's got a great start, 4 for 5, 8 points, 2 rebounds. And this is why it's so important. In the playoffs on the road, you can see what he's done. 11 points, 42% shooting. At home, 16 points and 64%. So much more aggressive at home. You have to be very happy if you're George Karl. You have Sean Kemp off to a great start.
And by the way, Rain Man in Seattle is not spelled R-E-I-N. It's R-E-I-G-N.
I'm glad you spelled that. If you'd asked me to spell that, I would have flunked the quiz. So.
I thought you were All-American in spelling at Illinois State.
Well, I was struggling with that one. Thanks for bailing me out.
You're welcome. Richard Dumas in the ball game. He goes hard to the hoop. He's in for Ceballos. Dumas normally starts for Phoenix at the small forward, but Ceballos changed up. Kind of interchangeable, the two.
Yeah, that's why I don't think that making the change in the starting lineup is going to hurt your team in any way because they are such interchangeable people. There's Oliver Miller, the leading shot blocker for the Suns in the playoffs. 3 block shots a game.
He has 1 here. 11:13 to go in the first half. 3-point Suns lead into Marley. Make it a 5-point Suns lead. 28-23. The turnover, Chambers to Ainge, make it a 7-point lead, and George Karl says, oh, I thought we were on a run when this quarter ended. Timeout, Seattle.
7-0 run in 1:07. Let's show you how quickly it happens. The up fake, the dunk by Richard Dumas. Then you're going to see a follow-up great pass and layup for Dan Marley. They steal the inbounds pass, and Chambers finds Ainge for a 3. A 7-0 run. They're up 8, and the explosiveness of the Phoenix Suns. This is one thing that George Karl was very worried about in this building.
Ricky Pierce almost turned it over again. McMillan with 7 on the shot clock. Long-range Cage doing what he does best, but he's in trouble with it. This Phoenix team playing some tremendous defense. Phoenix ball.
I think they're an underrated defensive team. I think in the playoffs they have shown that they can stop people when they have to. Their opponents are averaging 100 points a game, shooting at 46%. So the Suns do something right. During the regular season, they won on offense, but when they have had their backs to the wall, they've been able to win on defense here in the playoffs.
Ricky Pierce picked up his 3rd foul, and Derek McKee checks back in. McMillan, McKee, Johnson, Cage, and Perkins on the floor for Seattle, trailing by 8. 10:25 to go in the first half. Ainge to Chambers from 17. Perkins.
Which really hurts Ricky Pierce being in foul trouble because he's a guy that can score for them. They can go to him. He can isolate. He can create his own shot. So someone out here now is going to have to pick up the slack offensively for Seattle.
I'm telling you, Phoenix playing some tremendous half-court defense here. Down into McMillan. He got the shot block and the foul.
Oliver Miller, I think.
Yes, they're going to jump it. Not a foul. Oliver Miller will jump it up.
2 quick block shots now for Oliver Miller. You can see he's aggressive, he's active, he's lighter on his feet. He's going to come over and give great help, and you're going to see it right here, the jump ball. And he should tip this ball back between Marley and Chambers, locked in to get the possession. Right there's where it goes.
Here comes Marley, 31-23 Phoenix.
I think if you see another score here, you might see a 20-second timeout by Seattle. You do not want to lose pace here with the Suns. This would put them down 10 if they score.
And there's some Seattle defense. McKee coming away with it.
One of the things Oliver Miller does, sometimes he gets a little careless handling the basketball, Bob.
Seattle having a lot of trouble penetrating. McMillan finally does, and that gets a dunk from McKee.
See, here's a bad pass by Miller. 2 straight turnovers. You just don't need that play. You just don't need that play, Oliver. You see Paul Westphal, and he's got his legs crossed, but his heart's racing about 110 beats per minute right now because he'd like to say something, but he knows this is a young player, and you just got to let him play through it.
It's sign language. When he crosses his legs, that means $50 for the bad play. 31-25 Phoenix, 9:20 to go, first half.
Look for Eddie Johnson to get a jump shot off this possession.
Looking for his jump shot. They cover him, so McMillan takes it and misses it. Rebound Perkins, but first the loose ball foul.
Little push in the back by Sam Perkins. You say, well, it wasn't much. Well, it was just enough to prevent Oliver Miller from getting the rebound, so the advantage got Perkins the offensive rebound, so it was taken away from him, even though the foul was not that much contact.
31-25, Phoenix. Perkins' first personal. Richard Dumas backing in on Eddie Johnson. Dumas, lively legs. He's fouled.
He's got so much talent. I think John Lucas called him a Dr. J with a jump shot. That's pretty heady company for the young player.
Maybe premature.
He does have a lot of talent. I think right now he's trying to find out night to night exactly what he can do on a consistent basis. And that's Bob, that's really the one thing you have to do with young players is you bring in a very talented player and you try to get them to use their talent at the best they can at this point in time to fit into the team. And then as they get better and they get more experience, let them grow. It's like I call it giving them roots and wings. You give them roots and how to play the game, and then the better they get, you give them wings and let them expand their game.
Well, I know you helped give some roots and wings to Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant in Chicago. True, they were very young, raw players who've become now part of the Big Three in Chicago.
Well, that's what you have to do, and there's no question. Scottie and Horace are great young players now, and they got a great many years ahead of them.
Both with sore ankles, however. 33-25 Phoenix down inside, and Derek McKee gets it to fall, and he is fouled. McKee now has 8 points, an opportunity for 9. Dumas with the personal.
McMillan doing a nice job. The little touch pass as McKee goes backdoor against Dumas. Little backdoor cut. Dumas loses sight of the basketball just for a moment. When he does, we call that working against the guy's vision. The minute you see him turn his head, you cut against his vision where he can no longer find you on the floor to the open area.
McKee only a 62% free throw shooter in the playoffs. It's a 5-point game now.
Oliver Miller almost with another turnover.
Ainge on the penetration. That was knocked out of his hands, and that is another turnover.
Eddie Johnson will pull up and shoot that one.
That's what everybody thought when he hits Cage, and he is fouled and will have a 3-point opportunity. Let's see if Michael Cage is injured. He hit the floor very hard with his right elbow. The foul on on Tom Chambers.
Seattle has done a great job. They were down 31-23. It was an 8-point game. The Suns crowd was into the ball game. It was emotional, and what Seattle has done is with their execution and with the creating of their steals, getting in the open court, Eddie Johnson finds Michael Cage, who's a left-handed player, so he extends. Chambers comes underneath him with a foul of the 3-point play opportunity. So Chambers will get a quick seat here. They need Chambers to be able to score some points, but at the same time, he's got to rebound the basketball for them because this Seattle team we know is a long team, as witnessed by those 4 shots here.
Cage got that offensive board off his missed free throw, but couldn't put it back in either. 33-30, and the Suns turn it over. This time it's Charles, and Ainge gets in Charles' face.
You know, Bob, I really believe that if the Suns have a weakness. It's many times they try to make the spectacular play too often rather than when it's there, and it gets them in trouble. We've seen Oliver Miller do it twice, and now Charles Barkley here. 3 really unforced errors.
Phoenix had led by 8. Chance now with a three-pointer for Seattle to tie. 5 on the shot clock. Perkins has it knocked away and then blocked, then put back by McKee. It hit the rim, so they got a new shot clock, and now the foul.
Oliver Miller has 3 blocked shots. He's a little frustrated right now. He did get the foul against McKee.
That's the 3rd team foul.
Returns to the Sonics lineup.
Kemp is back in.
This Phoenix team is a real interesting team, Bob. I've had a chance to see them a lot this year, and they have to fight boredom. I know that sounds crazy, but they get a little bit of a lead, and they get a little careless. They're not a team that plays very well with the lead. I think they take too many risks rather than try to put a team away. As they go up the ladder here and getting into the latter rounds, that will come back to haunt them. They just cannot do that.
Derek McKee, as I told you, a 62% free throw shooter. He's hit 2 out of his last 3, however. At the conclusion of the game, Doug and I will be selecting the Budweiser player of the game.
A little full court trap there just to make them use clock. See, right now, 12 seconds on the shot clock, so they forced them to use up half the clock.
Foul on Derek McKee, who was matched up on Kevin Johnson. You might think that's strange, but they do that sometimes from Seattle's point of view.
They say going long, going tall against KJ, spreading out, making him shoot jump shots and trying to control his penetration. McKee got in trouble that time because he reached in for the ball.
Now Payton is on the floor as McMillan gets a rest. George Karl running players in and out of this game. He can do it. He's got a very deep basketball team.
And very versatile. Guys play multiple positions.
Barkley hasn't scored for a while. Charles drives. There's the double team. Shoots it anyway. Rebound, Eddie Johnson.
So Charles has got to get back. He goes for the steal. They now have numbers 3-on-2. Someone's going to get an easy shot.
It's going to be Gary Payton.
See, he's shooting a knuckleball up there, Bob. He has no confidence. You see his shots fluttering up there because he's trying to guide it. He's pulling a string on it rather than just shooting it and following through.
Nice pass, Johnson to Miller. Miller missed the jam. Jess Kersey, Darrell Gerritsen discussing what the call is.
I think he ruled that the ball was tipped by one of the Sonics players as Miller tried to dunk the basketball, so he's going to rule that it would be Phoenix possession.
Look at that meeting. They send over Kemp and McKee and Perkins to represent the Seattle SuperSonics. We know one thing for sure. There is a timeout on the floor with the Suns leading it by 2. Made a tremendous call there on the out-of-bounds play when the ball bounced over the top. Here you're going to show us.
We'll show you what happens. It goes up for the dunk. We stop it right there. See, Perkins gets a piece of it, so when the ball goes out over the backboard, it will be Phoenix possession with a new 24-second shot clock. So good call by Darrell Gerritsen. He was under the basket. He saw it. So Phoenix will maintain possession.
Well, Darrell's had some goaltending things here in the playoffs. One in the Boston-Charlotte game, which you might not want to discuss. But anyway, 33, and now I'll hear about that one. 33-31 Phoenix with 6:53 to go in the first half. Kevin Johnson being defended by Gary Payton. Isolation, penetration. Barkley. There's Kevin Johnson with a big rebound and kick out to Marley.
You notice how every one of Charles' shots is contested. You've got a long arm in your face every time you look for a shot.
Kevin Johnson with the 17-footer.
He is really shooting his outside jump shot well. You know, many instances when you injure a leg, you're forced to play more under control. You don't get that quickness that you normally have, and you have to rely more on your shooting. I think that's helped KJ in the playoffs, shooting very, very well his jump shot.
He's playing with sore hamstrings, but is in pretty good physical shape. Illegal defense called against Phoenix. We were talking about Charles Barkley, who has been having a hand in his face. He started the game 3 for 3, 0 for 5 since. He has not had an uncontested shot.
Well, if you think about it, in the first series against the Lakers, who they put on him? Eldon Campbell. A long guy, a tall guy that can go up and bother his shot. Didn't want to double team him much. In the next series, they play him a lot with Antoine Carr, J.R. Reed, or David Robinson. Now you're seeing the same strategy. So people going tall against Charles, not double teaming as much.
6 minutes to go in the half. 4-point Suns lead. Derek McKee. Kicks to Perkins for the three-point attempt.
There's that guy again. You better not leave him. He is really filling it up from out there.
He's hit 2. Matter of fact, his only 2 field goals so far have been three-pointers. His first shot and that one. Meantime, he went 0 for 5. Barkley says, put your hand in the face of this. He has 8. McKee, nice touch. Eric McKee playing better in this game than he has the entire playoffs. 12 points already.
Well, Sean Kemp has gone down. He just got an elbow in the midsection from KJ. It was inadvertent, but he's down at the end of the floor. They might need to take a foul. Otherwise, they give up the 2 points. They played 4 on 5 that possession. I'm not so sure they shouldn't have taken a foul. They only have, well, they do have 14 fouls, so that would have put them in the penalty.
5 minutes to go in the half. Barkley has 10 points now. His last 2 coming close in. Payton trying to post Kevin Johnson.
You can see they're running plays to get Perkins to 3. They ran that set play to try to get him a 3.
Vincent Askew just into the game on the drive, commits the offensive foul and threw the ball away.
Watch Sean Kemp right there. He gets an elbow in the midsection. You see him go down. It was not an intentional elbow, but nonetheless, Kevin Johnson still got him. 2 points on the other end because playing 4 on 5, Barkley got the offensive rebound.
3-point Phoenix lead. This has been a scrambled game thus far and low scoring.
That's what Seattle does. You play the game. I remember I did their game the other night, Seattle-Houston. We did the game 6, and I left there thinking, you know, how difficult it was to telecast the game because they just make it such an unconventional ball game than what you normally see.
It's easy for me. I see things scramble. Ainge pitches into Miller on the baseline. The rookie from Arizona.
You can see the great confidence they have in Oliver Miller. He's played a lot of minutes here tonight.
Askew.
That's not the shot that George Karl wants. Askew's forced 2 shots and got an offensive foul.
Here comes Barkley.
You stand there and take a charge on him. It's a runaway locomotive. I bet you Vincent Askew's going to come out of the game right now.
I saw him when he was a freshman at Auburn University, weighing about 300 pounds, a practice with when Sonny Smith was coaching that team. Barkley was doing that as a freshman, 18 years old, so fat, you know, they called him the round mound of rebound. But right then you could tell that he was the best player anywhere near Auburn, Alabama.
I think that's why he's sort of fallen in love with Oliver Miller being his younger brother, because I think he sees a lot of Oliver Miller in himself as a young player, so he's really taking him under his wing. Talk to him about the importance of being in shape and doing all the things it takes to be a professional player. If you look at Charles right now, he doesn't have an ounce of body fat on him.
Oliver Miller's starting to look pretty good too, except his jersey's too big after he lost 55 pounds. Miller kicks to Ainge.
What a tough shot.
The runner doesn't go, but Miller with the rebound, it's stripped away, and the foul is going to be on Seattle.
Notice how quick Oliver Miller is with his hands. The ball was loose. He just reached up and snatched it out of the air. You see Barkley go over and give him a tap on the head, so Oliver Miller will be at the free throw line. Is now 5 team fouls on the Sonics, so the Suns will be shooting free throws the last 3 minutes and 52 seconds in the second period.
That foul was the second on Gary Payton. Oliver Miller misses. The free throw shooting in this game has not been good.
Well, Oliver Miller in the playoffs is shooting 14 for 24 going into tonight's game, 58%, so make that now 14 of 25.
In this game, Seattle 2 for 4, Phoenix 4 of 8. 5 of 9 for the Phoenix Suns, 42 to 36, a 6-point bulge with 3:48 to go in the half. These two teams, heavyweights here in the Western Conference, feeling each other out in Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Sean Kemp from 14. He has 10 points, 5 of 6. 21 seconds on the shot clock for Phoenix. Danny Ainge now isolated on the right side. 10 to shoot.
This is when Phoenix struggles. In the half-court game, if they hold the ball too long, they end up getting a very difficult shot that I think you're going to see here in about 1 second.
That will not count. You're exactly right. Marley shot it after the buzzer went off. From America West Arena, Bob Neal and Doug Collins with you. Western Conference Finals game number 1. The Phoenix Suns have led by as many as 8. The Sonics have pulled to within 1. And it is 42-38 with 3 minutes to go in the first half.
Now be aware, now Oliver Miller's playing Perkins. If he helps, Perkins will spot up and shoot the 3.
Stepped away from Oliver Miller. Barkley with the rebound, stripped away by Payton. Fouled hard by Barkley.
You just cannot be careless with the basketball around Seattle. Gary Payton, exceptionally quick hands. They had 5 guys this year get 100 or more steals in the season. You see it right there, the quick strip, takes it to the basket, and there's the foul on Barkley out of frustration. Does not want to give up the layup.
That hurt.
Suns lead by 4. And let's look at the defense against Charles Barkley. Barkley's isolating, and this guy right here is Oliver Miller. This will be the double team man. We'll roll it forward. We'll show you what happens. Sean Kemp's going to come over in the double team, and if we stop it right there, the problem with this is, see, Barkley sees everything that's going on. This guy now has to play 2 people, so this kind of pass will free up a shot. As we run it forward, Barkley with a nice pass. You got to chase the 3-point shooter. Miller steps up and gets the nice open shot. That's nice ball movement, nice reading of the double team.
42-39 as Payton hits the first of his 2 free throws. When Charles Barkley grabbed him, Payton walked off the court with a grimace on his face. Charles is so very strong. He was not trying to hurt him, but then it's Charles Barkley. 2-point lead for Phoenix. This is the 3.
Long shots, long rebounds. What's that get, Bob? That means layups on the other end. No one rotated back. Marley shoots the long shot. Payton a hand in the face and just releases.
Phoenix had led by 8, and Seattle has tied it with 2:25 to go in the half.
Got the switch now. You've got Payton playing a bigger player. KJ being double teamed now by Perkins.
And Ainge hits the 3.
That's his second 3-pointer of the night. So Danny Ainge shooting the perimeter shot pretty well, gives him a 3-point lead.
Those are his only 2 baskets. As Perkins is the same way, with 3 pointers.
2 minutes.
Payton.
That's the first one he shot, and he did it by using the glass. Did you see the release on his shot? He didn't shoot the knuckler, but he did it by using the backboard.
Payton has 10 points. All of them came off the break or on penetration until that jump shot. 10 to shoot for Phoenix. Ainge is feeling the 3.
I guess he is. That was deep. Nate McMillan tried to scare him off that with a look. When Danny Ainge starts shooting it like that, you've got to force him to put it on the floor. I think Nate says, I better get up even if he's 3 feet behind that 3-point line and contest that shot.
Ainge is 3 out of 4 from 3-point land tonight. 4-point Suns lead, minute 29. It was tied just a blink ago. Payton looking for Sean Kemp. Draws the double team very quickly to McMillan. McMillan playing tough inside. Miller was in his face the whole time. Charles can't hold on to it.
Charles is working so hard.
Look at the look on the face of the radio announcer on the far side. You'd think Charles just said, give me your watch.
He's right over by Jim Durham and Dick Versace over there doing NBA radio. He pounded the desk and about knocked everything over.
Oh, mercy. We have a minute 13 to go in the half. It's always fun when you watch Charles Barkley. He talks to the fans. He talks to the officials, the coaches, comes over and chats with us every now and then and keeps playing, and also gives you about 27 points a game and 12 rebounds.
Well, he's the emotional charge that ignites this team. They feed so much off his energy. You have an emotional KJ, the 3-point explosiveness of Ainge and Marley. So this is a team that will really come at you in a lot of different ways offensively.
Minute to go in the half. Suns by 4.
Dribble weave here, trying to free up some penetrating dribble.
Millen struggling. 6 to shoot. Payton kicks it to Kemp. Rebound Cage. New shot clock. McMillan saying, let's settle it down and get something started.
They want to post Kemp and Marley. They're going to have to double team him. There's a double team, so someone's going to get a shot.
McMillan, tough shot, doesn't go. Kevin Johnson is down. McMillan is down. It's 4-on-4. And Ainge passes it to Cage. But look out! Kevin Johnson had not come up the floor, and he was there to break up the pass.
You know, I don't think that they saw Kevin Johnson. It looked like McMillan was open, and all of a sudden KJ popped up.
He knew all along. See, he was just a decoy. We have 25.6 to go in the half. That went off Seattle. It'll be Phoenix ball, leading it by 4. You get Kemp out of there to avoid any additional fouls on Sean. He's carrying 2 here at the half.
Good call. That's a good coaching move there, Bob. You're learning here.
Thank you. Yes, I am. I'm going to be a candidate for a job, Sean.
I like that.
And Kevin Johnson will go to the line. Hold on a second here.
It's going to be Oliver Miller, Bob. I'll tell you what happened. Oliver Miller stopped in the middle of the floor and sort of banged back into Askew. Then Askew took both hands and shoved him in the back. And you always see the second one. So 2 free throws now for Oliver Miller.
With 18.4 to go in the half. Oliver also not a very good free throw shooter. He was 6 of 15 coming in here tonight. Frankie Johnson comes in for Kevin. Kevin also carrying 2 fouls. And Cedric Ceballos also back in for Charles with 18.4 to go in the half.
This is all matchups right now. Seattle's going with basically a small team. You have McMillan, and you have Eddie Johnson, and you have Payton, and you have Askew, basically 4 guards, and then Perkins. Now remember, Perkins is the best three-point shooter out of all those guys, so if Oliver Miller gets sucked in defensively, they might go to Perkins to shoot a quick 3.
Good bullet pass inside. McMillan loses it. Perkins buries the 3. He has 3 in the half.
That's what I was talking about.
Ceballos answers very quickly, though, with 2 on the dunk, and 6 seconds remain in the half. All these teams are explosive. And the foul with 3.5 seconds. It's on Ainge.
Think of all the things that have happened in 18 seconds. We've had a missed shot, a blocked shot, a 3-pointer by Perkins, a layup by Ceballos, and now a foul. McMillan's going to shoot 2 free throws, and we still got 3.5 seconds to go.
And so probably 2 or 3 more possessions.
You tell me people leave NBA games early. We saw earlier in the year, Portland Phoenix, 7 points scored in 3.7 seconds, and 3 lead changes.
Now Ceballos sits down, as does Frank Johnson, and Kevin Johnson comes back in, so does Barkley. Suns by 4. 21 is Gerald Patio out of UNLV. Very little playing time during the playoffs so far. He's not in that 10-man deep roster. Boy, Payton is just having a nightmare shooting the basketball. 84% at the free throw line. Now, I'll tell you what, his jump shot, I think, is taking away his confidence shooting it no matter what.
Yeah,
not much really rotation, and he misses them both.
He's really guiding it.
Kevin Johnson tried to get the shot away. It was blocked by McMillan. At the half, Phoenix leads it by 4 points, 51-47, and Danny Ainge, 9 points on triples. Perkins has 3 3-pointers for Seattle.
All right, game 1 of the Western Conference Final. They are at the break. It's 51-47, Phoenix leading Seattle. Ernie Johnson in Atlanta with the Reebok halftime report. This is Isaiah Thomas of the Detroit Pistons. What'd you think of the first half? Seattle doing their thing all over the court, different matchups. What'd you think?
They're a tough team to play against. As you've seen, sometimes they had Derek McKee guarding Kevin Johnson. They were out in the transition. They were scoring in transition. They were trapping Phoenix's half-court set. Making them shoot 3-point shots, long shots. You know, Seattle's got to feel really good about where they're at right now.
You know, you said it's difficult to prepare playing a team like that. Would it get any easier during a 7-game series?
Unfortunately, no.
Because for Paul Westphal.
Well, because they're so athletic and they move so well. Defensively, they're very tough to play against, and they can all jump, they can all rebound. they're a tough team to play against.
It is a 4-point lead for the Suns over the Sonics. Now in the Eastern Conference, game one of the Knicks-Bulls series yesterday, 98-90. The Knicks over the Bulls. John Starks was the hero, 25 points, 13 of those coming in the fourth quarter as the Knicks took game one. Here's Craig Sager.
Any speculation that the short-fused John Starks would lose his cool against Michael Jordan were buried in Sunday's fourth quarter.
Played well. He hit some very tough shots. He's a competitor. He certainly got the upper hand this game. You know, his confidence, I'm pretty sure, is very strong right now. And we have to do a tougher job on him tomorrow.
But Jordan's problems with Starks are at both ends, as the king of the fourth quarter missed the target on 7 of 9 attempts in the final stanza.
Just play him as hard as I could, contest every shot, not let him get into the lane like he wants to. That's when he does his most damage.
It was frustrating yesterday. I'm getting over the aftermath right now, just trying to forget it, put it out of my mind, and get ready for tomorrow. And I know I can play better basketball, and it was very disappointing that I couldn't support the team whenever they needed it, when we were very close. Usually I've been successful to carry that load, and I didn't do my job the other day.
Michael Jordan's self-imposed job description is to do whatever it takes to win. And for the first time in this year's playoffs, he failed. But yesterday is over. It's a new day in New York. And when the series resumes tomorrow, expect Jordan, not Starks, to be like Mike.
Of course he takes it personally. That's one of the greatest things about Michael. I remember Bradford Smith getting 37 on him. And, Michael was embarrassed, and he came back the next night and got 37 by halftime. So John Starks will look out.
So, Zeke, what do you think? Is MJ in his hotel room tonight plotting out strategy for tomorrow night's ballgame?
No, a guy like that don't plot out strategy. He just write it off as a bad night, and he's going to come back and play well. But, I like to point out to Horace Grant that, Patrick Ewing is under that hole. They got Patrick Ewing under there in New York right now, has an insatiable passion to win and to go out and compete. And it's going to be a tough ball game for them tomorrow. Yeah,
that'll be game 2 of that series, and we're going to have it right here on TNT. The Knicks home against the Bulls, and here's a little something different tomorrow night, folks. An encore presentation, 1:30 Eastern, 10:30 out west. Bulls and Knicks. Break at America West, Phoenix by 4 as the Reebok halftime report rolls on. Did you catch the draft lottery yesterday? You talk about some Orlando magic. The chances of Orlando getting the number 1 pick were 1 in 66. But as Commissioner David Stern made his way toward the moment, it had come down to Orlando and Philadelphia. And you can tell by the smile and the look of disbelief on the face of Orlando GM Pat Williams, the Magic had hit the lottery, so they have got the top pick. We'll see what they do with it, but take a look here at the top 11 picks. Orlando followed by Philly and Golden State. And look at 10 and 11. The Detroit Pistons with a couple of lottery picks. Chance to do something with that team. Isaiah Thomas, if you were calling the shots, and I'm not saying you're on, but what do you need there at the Palace?
Well, we need help at a couple of positions. Mainly we need help inside. We need some bigger people, some bigger bodies, to go along with Lambeer, Rodman, and Terry Mills.
Coaching change, Ron Rothstein out, Don Chaney in. What was the year like under Rothstein?
Actually, it was a difficult year simply because we had a problem with Rodman, and the problem that Dennis had was a problem with love. How do you control that emotion? He was going through a problem with divorce and wanting to see his kid, and, it was just a tough year for us, and it was a tough year for Ronnie because, I personally don't think we had the type of talent level that we've had in years past to go out and sustain and win at a championship level.
Is that tough for you, though, having won a couple of championships, to endure a season like that?
Well, it's not really tough because you understand the situation that you're in. In order to be a champion, to compete at a championship level and to have won 2 championships, you really got to go back down and start over again to get back to the top level, which is where we're on our way up. We got 2 picks right now, maybe a chance to move up. You never know what's going to happen. So next year we'll be right there again.
Zeke Speaks here on TNT, and the Reebok Halftime Report continues after this. Halftime Report. Let's spend a couple of minutes with Pat Williams, the general manager of the Orlando Magic. They hit the lottery yesterday, and tell me the truth now. Was it helium in that one ping pong ball, rabbit's foot? What's the deal, Pat?
Great motivation, Ernie. We had a long session with that ball. In fact, we introduced him to last year's ball. They spent quality time together, and The advice we gave him when that machine went on and those vibrations took place, that's like an earthquake to that ball, you know. We told him to hang right by the chute and be ready to dart for daylight when he felt the sucking compression start. And the little ball did exactly what he was told, Ernie. It was amazing.
Now, what are you going to do with that top pick? You're going to hold on to it? You're going to deal it?
Well, I think we can do a lot of things. I think we can listen to what's going on with the other clubs. We can interview all these players. We can get to know them as deeply as we can. And we're going to come out of it with some very significant help for our ball club. I don't know quite how it's going to play out, but it's certainly a wonderful position to be in. One very frank learning that 24 hours later, we're still not believing.
Are people lining up to talk to you now about this? Have you had some feelers from other teams?
No, and nobody could get through because I can't break this crush of media. I mean, it's incredible. I never dreamed there was so much interest. The magnitude of the impact of the NBA around this country, Ernie, is staggering. And just responding to this lottery is overwhelming to me. 30, 40 radio stations want to do talk shows, and it's endless. So I think it's very, very encouraging, the enormous interest in this league.
Hey, let me ask you one thing. Economically, might you be forced to give up the top pick? I mean, can you pay this guy, whoever it's going to be?
Well, we'll figure it out. We've got a very gifted team of capologists headed up by Bob Vanderwide and his crew, and we've been through it all last year. They've spent the last year in a hermetically sealed jar working on new capology plans. So we'll have to roll them out, and they'll put their green eye shades on again this summer, and we've got to go through the whole exercise again as we did last year with Shaquille.
Pat, obviously still on a high. Hey, tell me something. You know, we don't have a lottery here in Georgia. Can you pick me up a ticket down there in Florida?
Well, send what you want down here.
Hey, with your luck, all I need is one, I think.
Hey, listen, I've had people faxing all sorts of requests in here today. You know, pick this number and that, and I'm telling them 16's the number, Ernie, because that's the number of kids we've got. I just put them to bed, and everything after that is easy, believe me.
I know exactly where you're coming from. Pat Williams, thank you very much for your time, and good luck making your decisions on the lottery.
All right, nice to talk to you, Ernie.
All right, Pat. Pat Williams joining us in the third period just ahead. The Suns 51-47 over the Sonics.
The Reebok Halftime Report has been brought to you by Reebok, who reminds you that on Planet Reebok, there are no limits.
And Doug Collins, if you're Seattle, you got to feel as good as you can feel being 4 points down. They only shot 43%, 50% from the free throw line, 9 turnovers. 2 of their premier scorers have not done much production-wise, and yet they're within striking distance.
Yeah, I think if you're George Karl, you have to be happy because it was a game of surges in that first half, and Seattle hung in there. And I think coming off an emotional game like they did in Game 7, it shows a lot about their team. But Eddie Johnson, Ricky Pierce, a combined 15 minutes, no points. You throw in Nate McMillan 1 for 8, and Gary Payton was 4 for 8, but 4 of those were on layups. Sam Perkins hit 3 threes, otherwise he's 0 for 6 from the field, so they have not been able to hit perimeter jump shots. And I think for them to sneak this game down tonight, someone on the perimeter is going to have to get hot. You see good balance, 3 guys in double figures for Seattle, and Barkley leads the way with 10, Ceballos 9, Ainge 9. His all coming on 3 threes. So it was a game of surges in that first half, a game of runs. Phoenix up 4.
Gary Payton not shooting well from the perimeter, but he's got his baskets from penetrations and fast breaks in that first half. Derek McKee scored well early in the ballgame. Also, Ceballos back in there at the small forward. Barkley the other forward. Mark West the center. The interior shot from Sean Kemp. He has 12. Kevin Johnson to Marley. Marley had 5 assists in the first half because Seattle's been effective in taking the ball out of the hands of Kevin Johnson.
And in fairness to Kevin, they ran him down the floor, Bob, and let Marley handle it to prevent the trapping defenses. Well, that's a deep 3.
Marley shot that with 2 on the shot clock from about 28 feet away.
That was deep. That was reminiscent of Danny Ainge's in the first half. He had a shot in here to beat the Lakers late in the season, very similar to that same spot.
Ricky Pierce to Sean Kemp. Back to Pierce on the baseline. Pierce can get on fire. He is one of these streak shooters who can really start lighting it up.
You don't want him to get easy looks at the basket. Make him shoot everything with a hand in his face. Ricky Pierce, one of the big-time scorers in the league, and he can do it by creating his own shot, posting. Many ways he can get to the scoring line, and especially at the foul line, 89% free throw shooting.
That was his first of the night. Kevin Johnson penetrating. They had sent Sam Perkins out to play Kevin, and Kevin just went around him. 5-point Suns lead.
Screen roll, trying to free Pierce up. West has got to show up on that. That's 2 in a row for Ricky Pierce. So West has got to show up big on that screen. Allow the defender to get through.
Suns by 3. In the regular season series, Seattle won 3 of the 5 games, including 1 here at Phoenix. But when Seattle beat Phoenix at home, Barkley and Ainge were out of the game.
And the barometer in those games was the free throw line. When Phoenix made 20 free throws or more, they won the 2 games. When they didn't, they lost all 3.
Barkley, nice pass inside to Ceballos.
Ceballos loves to hang around that baseline.
It's on Dan Marley, holding Pierce as he tried to get around it. That's 2 on Dan.
You saw the Phoenix bench. Danny Ainge stood up. He said, you've got to show Mark. Dan Marley said, you've got to show Mark. What he's saying is you've got to get up there on Ricky Pierce, not let him get that quick shot coming off the screen roll. Like that one right there. You've got to show up.
Ricky Pierce misses. Kemp rebounds. Didn't get it. Barkley. He scooted his foot, but no call. After all, it's Charles' house. Open, Ceballos, 18-footer on the baseline, rims out to Perkins.
The weakest part of his game is jump shooting. He'd like to get to the basket if possible. So you're really making a conscious effort to get Ricky Pierce involved in the offense.
McKee, short arms, West with a rebound.
They have numbers, 3 on 2.
Blocked by Sam Perkins. McKee comes away with it.
Perkins for 3. They got to get up on him.
Kevin Johnson went for the steal, but we had a travel as Perkins moved that pivot foot before he made the pass. Suns by 5, 8:25 to go in the third quarter. Here's that block by Sam Perkins.
Well, Sam Perkins has the long arms, does not jump extremely well, but you see Ceballos exposes it right in his face. Might have been better off to take that ball underneath the basket, use the rim as a shield.
Kevin Johnson attempting the penetration. 10 to shoot. Ceballos on the drive. That'll be goaltending on Sean Kemp. Counted for Ceballos. He has 13. Ceballos and Kemp with some words.
Ceballos taking the last 3 shots for the Suns. Misses a jumper, gets a layup blocked. Here the goaltending call on Sean Kemp. So the Suns now have sneaked up to a 7-point lead once again.
Payton on the drive. A handoff.
Oh, Kemp almost a spectacular.
And then Kemp tried to tip it in. Marley has it stripped by Payton. Now Pierce, it's 2 on 1. Pierce will pull up.
That's money in the bank right there, Ricky Pierce. So he's got off to a quick start now in the third quarter. He's had 3 of 4 shots now for 6 points. Sonics hanging around, down only 5 with 7:36 to go here in the third period.
227-010, St. Reed.
Suns lead by 5, and Ricky Pierce has 6 points. But I want to show you something right. We're going to stop this right here. Now, if you're playing against Gary Payton, you can go underneath the screen. When you're playing against Ricky Pierce, Mark West, instead of being right here, has got to be out here. He's got to show and hold him up so Marley can get over the screen. He doesn't do it. He gets right into the gap. Marley is slow getting there. Ricky Pierce gets the open shot. So they're going to have to make an adjustment and talk about it. I'm sure that's why Paul Westphal called timeout, and he wanted to talk about the defense against Ricky Pierce.
Ricky Pierce has scored the last 6 points for Seattle. 3 of 5 this half, as you saw. Perkins run down the missed shot. It is a 5-point Phoenix lead. 7:21 remaining in the third quarter.
Those are some of the things you live with Charles Barkley. When you come out of a timeout, he takes a quick outside jump shot, unnecessary.
McKee left all alone.
Sonics just will not go away. Bob, does it make sense when I say to you it appears that when Phoenix gets a little bit of a lead, they relax a little bit? I mean, I've seen that during the course of the playoffs.
I think it feeds off the personality of Charles Barkley.
I agree. I think he gets bored. I mean, he came out and took a shot. It was just there for him at any time.
Perkins was the man who started that with the block, and Payton gets the jam at the other end.
And see, I would like to have seen him give that to Ricky Pierce. The reason why is because Ricky needs the scoring. He's a guy that his game is predicated a lot on his scoring. Gary Payton is not that way. It was not that it was a selfish play, but Ricky Pierce is a scorer.
Ceballos, nice feed inside from Marlowe. Ceballos with 15. 3-point Suns lead, 6:25 to go. Seattle is led by 1, and Phoenix is led by as many as 8. Perkins against West. Turnaround jumper, no. Scramble for the ball, and Ricky Pierce comes away.
Got to get it up. Only 4 seconds, Bob. He's got to see the shot clock.
It did hit the rim in time. Charles Barkley fouled by Gary Payton going for the steal.
Fouls number 20, Gary Payton.
Ricky Pierce was not sure that whether or not the ball hit the rim, so he did not know what the shot clock was. He pulled it out and had to fire up the shot just to beat the clock, so he did have the awareness at the last moment, but it did cost him to take a difficult shot.
That's the Mad Max theory of shooting at the buzzer.
Yeah, McKee the other night.
Kevin Johnson with the penetration and the lay-in. He has 10 points.
You can see the Sonics are really trying to retaliate, though. Here's that man for 3 again.
Not this time. He shoots a line drive. He's amazingly effective with that kind of shot. Down inside to Marley. He can't get it, and Derek McKee finds Pierce, who finds Payton.
He didn't want to take the outside shot. It cost him a turnover. Had a wide open baseline jumper. He's running away from his jumper right now.
No question.
He doesn't feel comfortable with it. Took 2 dribbles. Kevin Johnson closed him off, and then he made the turnover. See, if you don't take that shot, you have no chance for the offensive rebound because your players on your team expect you to shoot the open shot. So they're going to go to the boards.
5-point Phoenix lead with 5:08 to go in the third. Nearly stolen by Kemp. He did knock it out of bounds. 14 on the shot clock for the Suns. Another foul on Gary Payton. That's 4 on Payton.
2 team fouls. They could probably come back in with Nate McMillan. Now, Nate McMillan hit his first shot tonight, and he went 0 for 7 thereafter, so he's 1 for 8 on the night. He did have a good floor game where he had 6 assists, no turnovers in the 15 minutes he played, but he has struggled with his shooting tonight.
George Karl told us that McMillan would get more minutes tonight than usual because he plays very well against this Phoenix team. 5-point Suns lead. Barkley defended by 3. The Seattle player. Ceballos finds the open lane. He's fouled on the drive. That's on Sean Kemp, his 3rd.
Well, let's take a look at this play with Barkley now. We're going to show you the double team. It's going to come from this guy's man right here. We stop it right there now. See, when you double team in this position, he can see everything. So Ceballos is going to step right in. He's going to find him, and he's going to take the ball right to the basket. I think you have to double team where a guy cannot see you coming. Barkley will pick you apart.
Ceballos hit the first free throw, giving the Suns the 6-point lead. Cedric has 16 points. 17.
I guess Paul Westphal looks pretty good starting in tonight. Big game for Cedric Ceballos, who's only averaging under 4 points a game in his playoffs up to this point.
He scored 8 of the last 10 Seattle points. Pierce on the drive. He's fouled. Will go to the line. They're asking, hold it. They're going to call an offensive foul again.
Offensive foul on 22, Ricky Pierce.
Well, one referee had it. Jeff Kersey had the foul underneath the basket on the defense. Daryl Garrison had it on Ricky Pierce.
That's 4 on Ricky Pierce.
On the curl, right here.
31, Derek McKee.
So that's a tough play. It looked like it was going to go against Mark West, and Daryl Garrison called him off of it. So that's a major play in this game to this point. 4 points on Ricky, or 4 fouls on Pierce, just as he was getting his touch offensively.
Phoenix knocks it out of bounds. as Barkley is double-teamed again with 13 on the shot clock and 4.5 minutes to go in the quarter. Suns have built a 7-point lead. Eddie Johnson in for Seattle. He'll be defending Ceballos. Michael Cage also in. He's playing Charles down to the baseline. 4 on the shot clock. Mark West misses. Kemp rebounds.
See, Marley's not a guy that's going to create a lot of offense against Pierce, so he might be able to stay in the game with those fouls.
Eddie Johnson. Boy, that didn't have a chance.
All right, Bob, I'm going to tell you, long shots, long rebounds, layups. It always happens.
As 12.
You take a shot from the deep corner, someone on the weak side's got to rotate back because the guy's going to release on the shot, and it's going to cost you every time.
This is Phoenix's biggest lead in the game. A 9-point bulge with 3:57 to go in the third. Phoenix on an 8-0 spurt.
Suns lead by 9. Now we're going to look at Eddie Johnson's long three-point shot here. The shot is going to be taken, and we're going to stop it right there. Now Eddie Johnson, watch him. He's going to go for the steal. Here's his man. This guy's got to be back, and with him diving for the steal, right there you see him go for it, and we push it, and we a little bit further we go, and we stop it right there. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4 Suns out on the break, and Kevin Johnson takes it to the basket to give the Suns their largest lead of the night. So when you miss the shot, don't compound it by trying to chase down your own miss. Get your tail back down the floor.
15 seconds on the shot clock for Seattle. 3:51 to go in the third quarter. Barkley goes for the steal. Kemp saves it. 7 on the shot clock. Ricky Pierce. The long rebound run down by Kevin Johnson. A chance for a double-digit lead, which would be the first in the game for Phoenix. Inside Ceballos.
Oh, KJ with a great pass, Bobby. Looked one way, bounced it. Ceballos hanging around on that baseline. He's at 19 points now for Cedric Ceballos, having a major game here.
10 in the quarter, 19 in the game. Nate McMillan is fouled. And hit in the mouth, too. It's on Cedric Ceballos.
You look at the team that Seattle has on the floor, and they've gone with offense here, Bob. They're down 11. We're going to watch them hit in the face. West is going to get him right there in the eye. But you look, you've got Eddie Johnson, Pierce, McKee, McMillan, and Michael Cage. So you have 2 guys out there, Pierce and Eddie Johnson, that are not great defenders, but they're out there to score. Let's see if they get taken advantage of.
The hook pass inside. Goaltending is the call. Counted for Eddie Johnson. Derek McKee makes the nice pass as Mark West is called for goaltending, and the Suns now by 9. That stops a 10-0 Phoenix run.
See, Eddie Johnson is playing Ceballos right now, and he's been peeking on the baseline, and Ceballos is making him pay for it by getting underneath the basket. He's got 3 easy scores.
8 on the shot clock. Isolating Ceballos, now 5. Pull-up jumper, not his game. It's 3, 4 on 2. McMillan to Eddie Johnson. We'll get the layup to fall, and Eddie Johnson now has 4 points. He, like Pierce, was scoreless in the first half. The blocking foul is going to be on Nate McMillan. Let's have a look at tonight's Chevrolet scoreboard, which is the game from yesterday's Game 1 in the Eastern Finals. The New York Knicks beating Chicago 98-90. John Starks just really came alive in the fourth quarter with the threes. Michael Jordan said in that game, I don't know when he came from the CBA, where he came from, or when he got here in this league, but I know he's here now.
Well, 23 turnovers in that game by New York, but 20 rebound advantage by New York against Chicago, so both those sort of offset each other. And the great shooting by New York, 55%. So game 2 here tomorrow, which will be a major game. Bulls need to get that game tomorrow night to even the series.
Marley has 9 points. Ceballos with the assist. Phoenix by 9. 2 minutes to go. In the third quarter, Eddie Johnson rims it out. Mark West with a rebound. Kevin Johnson and Phoenix running now.
2 minutes.
Oh, look at that pass against Ceballos.
Eddie Johnson with the push. Ceballos goes down. Is he okay?
He has had a problem with his foot. He has a stress reaction in one of his feet, maybe his left foot. You see him a little gimpy here as he gets up. He's probably going to have something done in the offseason, possibly surgery or just a lot of rest. But again, working behind the vision of Eddie Johnson. Eddie's peeking, And when you see his left foot right there sort of get stuck on the floor, but Ceballos doing a good job hanging around the basket, back-cutting Eddie Johnson, who's watching the ball and not knowing where his man is going.
Ceballos has 10 points in this quarter, 19 in the ball game. For the playoffs, Ceballos' previous high had been 8 points. Chambers comes in for Mark West. Frank Johnson comes in for Kevin Johnson for the final 2 minutes of the third quarter.
But in a regular season, Phoenix had 7 guys in double figures. In the playoffs, they're down to 4. Ceballos averaged about 13 points on the regular season, under 4 points in the playoffs. So his numbers are way down. Chambers 12 points in the regular season, down to 6. Ainge at 12 in the regular season, down to 8. And Dumas at 16 down to 11, so their numbers are down 11 points a game in the playoffs.
McMillan all the way, no defense on that, and we get a 20-second timeout call.
I think Ceballos is still hurt from where he fell down there a while ago. See if he comes out of the game.
And Phoenix leading it by 9 with a minute 47 now, limping over to the sideline. Ceballos has come in here and played very big, however, as we said. Bigger than he's played thus far in the series, but they've got an almost interchangeable small forward situation as you can get Dumas to step in there very quickly.
Look at the lineup now that Paul Westfall's going with. He's going with Barkley, Chambers, and Marley on the front line. Frankie Johnson as the point guard with Danny Ainge. So an interesting lineup. And when we talked to George Karl today, he said Westfall went small against his bigger team a lot during the regular season. So I don't think they're going to be surprised to see this team that Phoenix has on the floor.
See Phoenix taking very good care of the ball here in the second half after 12 turnovers in the first half. Danny Ainge running the team. To shoot for Phoenix. Marley has 6 on the drive, stripped away by McMillan. And for the first time in this game, Dana Barros on the drive. The scoop shot is not going to rattle in. Chambers with a rebound as Barros was splattered all over the floor.
Now Barros is in to give them a lift offensively. He is a guy that can get hot at the three-point line. He's energetic, so you must guard him. He's very much an offensive threat.
Then to shoot for Frank Johnson, who drove right by Dana Barros. The 11-point lead back to Phoenix again. McMillan careless with the ball as he was looking for Derek McKee, 18 on the shot clock.
Very important last 54 seconds. Seattle would like to get 2 scores, hold Phoenix scoreless, bring this down to a 7-point game rather than 11. Phoenix, on the other hand, would like to push it to 13 if they could.
8 seconds, now 7.
Eddie Johnson posting up Frank Johnson, and it's twice now we've seen Frankie Johnson get posted. An offensive foul in the first half on Ricky Pierce, an elbowing foul here on Eddie Johnson, so the frustration of trying to post up the smaller player. Watch Eddie Johnson lowers the shoulder into Frankie Johnson, so twice he's been posted and twice he's drawn fouls against the Seattle SuperSonics.
3 on Eddie Johnson, 18 to shoot as Ainge lets fly on the 3. It's going to go out of bounds and will be Seattle's ball with 32.6 remaining in the third quarter. It was a 4-point game at the half. Sean Kemp gets back in for Eddie Johnson.
Ainge going for a 2-for-1 possession, 33 seconds now here in the third period, so the Suns will get the last shot. So although that shot did not go, it really wasn't a bad shot. The fact that Ainge was 3 for 4 on the night from the 3-point line.
Ainge matched up on Nate McMillan. The curl and the hook pass to McKee.
Oh, Danny Ainge got away with one there. He rode McKee out on his hip, turned him around, no call.
Time remaining in the quarter, 5 seconds. Frank Johnson with 2, 1. They're not going to get it off. They did. That would have counted. Would have counted. But nevertheless, the Suns add 7 points to their 4-point halftime lead and lead it 76-65 with 12 minutes remaining. Western Conference Finals Game 1. The Suns have built an 11-point lead despite Barkley going scoreless in the quarter. He went 0 for 2. Cedric Ceballos, 12 points in the quarter, 21 in the game, and Phoenix committed only 2 turnovers tomorrow night on TNT. Ron Thulin and Hubie Brown will be in New York. for Game 2 of the Eastern Finals. New York leading 1-0. The Bulls will be interested in seeing the kind of adjustment they make. Watch this. Coach of the Year, Pat Riley. Not well liked here in Phoenix because they wanted Paul Westphal to be the Coach of the Year. And the Gorilla brought the crowd to their feet with that jump ball.
They also remember Pat with his days here with the Lakers. It seemed like the Lakers and the Suns used to always see each other in the playoffs. And unfortunately for Phoenix, the Lakers used to get the best of that.
Turnover story as we go to the jump ball.
Well, then we talked about the Sonics score off turnovers and off offensive rebounding. So in the second half, the point production 13 points less than it was in the first half off turnovers. That's a real significant statistic when you look now that they're down 11 and only down 4 at half.
NEF rushed with the call. It's a violation against Phoenix. And that was a foul on Frank Johnson for battling so hard on that jump ball. You saw him pushing and shoving, and NEF Rush called the foul, and that gives it to Seattle. Barros with the drive. Kemp is fouled by Oliver Miller.
So Tom Chambers has got to show on that screen. Right now you see Frank Johnson talking to him. See, when you play Gary Payton, you go underneath the screen. When you play Barros, Pierce, and these scores, you've got to show up and you've got to trap him. You can't let him turn the corner. Watch what happens here. See, Chambers is on the wrong side. And in doing that, Barros turns the corner. Now your defense is compromised, and you end up getting to the free throw line. So you must recognize who the man you're playing screen roll is, and you must make the necessary adjustment.
These are the first free throws of this half for the Seattle SuperSonics. And Sean Kemp brings the Sonics to within 9 with 11:33 to go in the game. Sean Kemp has 14 points.
Does Seattle have another run in them? I think Phoenix right now has to take care of the basketball, not turn it over. That will feed into what the Seattle team wants to do.
Marley lost it, but Miller found it and got the jam. Eddie Johnson down to Sean Kemp. Miller stripped it away from him. That foul is on Danny Ainge. That'll be his third.
His second, third.
Team foul situation, 3 against the Suns. The Seattle SuperSonics have yet to commit a team foul. 11:11 to go, just opening moments of the fourth quarter.
We know how important it is to stay out of foul trouble in that fourth period.
This is very early foul trouble for Phoenix. Kemp having trouble handling the pass from Barros. Wasn't a very good pass. Danny Ainge takes it all the way and draws the foul. It's on Nate McMillan.
Danny Ainge said, I'm shooting that ball. I have never passed, and you're telling me I'm passing off? He takes the ball to the other side of the basket, and he's trying to shoot that ball. That should be a 2-shot foul.
It isn't, however, and Seattle commits their first team foul of the quarter, and it's inbounded by Phoenix.
Danny said, I have yet to make a pass in this league. How in the world are you telling me I'm going to drop that one off?
Danny Ainge from long range. Not this time. Rebound Kemp. Nate McMillan. Seattle has missed some close-in shots here tonight. Bad pass from the rookie. McMillan doesn't get that. Miller blocked it. Ainge to Chambers. It's blocked by Kemp. What a scrambled ball game. These are Wild West teams.
I'm telling you, when you do a Seattle game, it's such a disjointed game because they get you playing out of your rhythm. They don't let you ever run their offense, and they just keep coming at you.
Sean Kemp had the open shot, made the pass. It's turned over. Derek McKee is fouled.
And Oliver Miller's going to get a technical, but he's not careful. He throws the ball down and then hits the basket. Support with his hand. That's 2 turnovers that he has made now by not clearing the ball after the rebound. So Oliver Miller is getting a little careless in the first half. He had 2 turnovers. So it's at least 4 turnovers in the game now for Oliver Miller. If he's going to be out there in this period of time, he's got to make sure that he does not allow the Sonics to get some easy scores.
McKee to the free throw line, and the Suns, by the way, will be in the penalty on the next foul with 10 minutes remaining in the ball game. George Karl said the free throw situation would be a big story in this game, and it very well may be. McKee misses on this one. 10-point Phoenix lead, 10 minutes to go in the game. Chambers dishes beautifully to Miller, fouled by McMillan.
See, I like Oliver more the way he catches the ball. Catches it, keeps it high, and finishes around the basket. He has got great hands for a big guy.
We have a timeout on the floor with 9:47 to go in the game. It's a 10-point margin for the Phoenix Suns. Boy, in the paint. Look at this. The Suns with 14 block shots in this ball game. And rookie Oliver Miller has 4 of those. Perkins has 4 block shots.
I think also importantly, rebounding. We talked about how important that would be for Phoenix. In the regular season, they out-rebounded their opponents by 3. In the postseason, they're being out-rebounded by 3. So that's a 6-rebound differential from the regular season to postseason. That's one of the reasons why their scoring numbers are down from 113 to 102.
Oliver Miller will go to the free throw line. We have 9 minutes 47 seconds to go in this ball game. Charles Barkley is not on the floor, and Barkley has been invisible in the second half. He had 10 points at the half, was 0 for 2 in the third quarter, and is not playing at this moment in the game. Looks like he's over having a bag of popcorn.
Well, Charles is, I'm sure, waiting for Paul Westphal to put him back in the game. He's had 2 major fourth quarters in game 5 against Phoenix, where he had the great fourth quarter and then the big finish he had the other night. So we know he's capable of throwing out big points, but I think from Phoenix's standpoint, he said, wait a second, we're up 12 points here. We're up 4, so we've increased our lead 8 points without our main guy even scoring in this half.
Barkley does have 14 rebounds. 12-point Suns lead. That's their biggest bulge of the game. Trying to find some offense. Dana Barrow's the guy who can give it to him, but he's not been playing well since he entered the ballgame. A couple of turnovers and some bad decisions.
When we talked to George Karl, he said, we've got to shoot well if we have any chance of winning. They have not shot well, 43% in the first half, and they cannot get any perimeter jump shots to go, so Phoenix is just playing back in the paint.
Into Chambers. He's fouled, and the basket counts.
Frankie Johnson is saying, thank you. He jumps in the air and has got no place to go, and at the last moment he finds Chambers. What's it? Oh, there he is. And Chambers with a nice catch, pump fake, and gets the kind roll. So Phoenix continues to build on their lead with Charles Barkley sitting out. They're now up to a 15-point game.
That's 4 fouls on Eddie Johnson. So both Ricky Pierce and Eddie Johnson will be playing with 4 fouls. Pierce has been on the bench a long time since he got his 4th. They're going to try to get Payton back in this game shortly. Got Marley with the foul.
The one thing about this series, the Sonics do not have the luxury, Bob, of what they had in the last series. We're winning only at home. It was a home court series. They had a big win against Utah in Game 4 to keep that series alive, went home and won Game 5, but they have got to find a way to win on the road. So they have lost their last 3 road games in that last series, so they have got to muster up some way in Phoenix here to get a win if they're going to win this series.
Even line for 2 with 8:56 to go in the ball game. Has 16 points tonight. The play call from the sideline.
3-quarter trap now by Seattle.
Oliver Miller.
Boy, he is impressive. The Suns saw something in him. Even when he was overweight, they took a chance on him. This young man has a great future ahead of him if he takes care of himself. There's a block shot.
That's 5. Miller has 5 blocks, 7 rebounds, and 10 points. And Gary Payton is going to get into the ball game with 9 on the shot clock. It'll be Sonics inbounding.
See, the Suns, if the Suns would give you 2 more hard minutes right now defensively and give up nothing easy, they can blow this game open up to a 20-point lead.
2 seconds on the shot clock. Seattle never got the shot away. Suns by 15, their biggest lead of the ball game.
You got a team on your heels. Put them away. You're at home. You have the crowd into the game. Right now, 3-4 possessions of offense, 4 possessions of defense, maybe add 6 or 8 points, and you can push this up to a 21 or 23-point lead. Right now, it's killer time for Phoenix.
In the fourth quarter, Seattle 0 for 3, 2 turnovers, just 5 free throws, even though Phoenix has been in the penalty since the 10-minute mark.
Look at that pass by Oliver Miller to the other side to Frankie Johnson.
And that'll be a 3-point play.
How about the vision of the big guy, Bob, seeing the floor?
Charles Barkley has been on the bench, scoreless in the third quarter, hasn't played in the fourth quarter, and the Suns have built a 17-point lead. The Suns have built a 17-point lead. Charles Barkley on the bench, scoreless in the third and the fourth. We checked to see if anything was wrong with him. He is fine.
What it is that his teammates are playing very well without him. Paul Westphal has the luxury of resting him. This can only help him. He's played a ton of minutes this year, so if you can rest your star this kind of time and increase your lead, then it's a tremendous benefit.
You saw that Phoenix has never won the first game in the Western Conference Finals. Usually they have not had the home court advantage, meaning they've opened on the road. Which leads you to that stat. 18-point lead by Phoenix. Suns have had a whale of a game from Oliver Miller, who's defending Kemp, forces him to kick it to McMillan. For the jumper, that's a 2. Kevin Johnson's had a lot of rest in this half, too. We're talking about Barkley.
I was just going to say the same thing, Bob. KJ's sitting down also.
Tom Chambers forces it up. Ainge is everywhere.
I thought that shot hit the rim. They did not recycle the clock. That ball hit the basket.
I think they're going to stop and correct that. It should be recycled. It hit the bottom of the rim. Kersey and Darryl Garrettson discussing it.
See if this ball, I think it hits underneath the rim. Yeah. Right there, that hits the rim. You can clearly see that.
So they have to decide how many seconds went off the game clock and then adjust this one. Since that happened, they're saying 4 seconds and put 20 back up there.
We had a very similar play in Game 2 of the New Jersey-Cleveland series that helped New Jersey win that Game 2 where the ball did not hit or did hit and they weren't aware of it, and Cleveland let time burn off the clock.
Down to Chambers. Over Askew. Miller is there again, and now he'll go to the free throw line. Oliver Miller has come up so big in this game.
So active for a big guy. We see Barkley getting ready to come back in, but Oliver Miller with those long arms, he's not a great leaper. If you take a look at his body, his arms, the sleeve length, so he's about a 7-footer when you measure his arms, although he's probably only 6'9".
8 rebounds, 3 offensive board with his 5 blocks and his 10 points as Charles Barkley gets back into the basketball game. 14 rebounds for Charles tonight, but only 10 points. And all of those came in the first half. Chambers sits down to a big round of applause. There's a record tonight in the blocked shots. West had 4 in limited minutes also. And Seattle's supposed to be the big team.
Yes, they are, but when you go Oliver Miller out there and Barkley, and maybe a Mark West, you can get bigger. So I like the Suns' chances against this bigger team because Oliver Miller's playing so well.
Barros with the penetration and the lay-in. Everybody thought about his three-point shot.
Oh, you're right. When you the threat of a three-point shot, someone's going to run at you. Normally, then you've got the quickness to be able to take the ball around, and that's why you develop that three-point shot, and it makes you really a quicker player because guys are running at you all the time.
7 seconds on the shot clock. Marley's turnaround with 4. Over the top. Phoenix will turn the ball over to Seattle. And Kevin Johnson gets back in for Danny Ainge.
See, KJ and Frank Johnson will play together now. KJ will be matched up against Peyton. Frank Johnson against Barrows, so Barrows playing the off guard, and Frank Johnson is bigger.
It was a nightmare during that series with Avery Johnson with San Antonio. Sometimes there were 3 Johnsons on the floor.
Look at this. I don't even know who he was throwing the ball to. Like Nate McMillan looks at Gary Payton, and George Carl says, I guess he was throwing it to me.
George says coaching this team is like riding a whirlwind. Tremendous talent, but they can be up and down. They can just be the greatest, and they can also give him some gray hairs. 6:05 to go in the game.
Barkley posting Askew. Here comes the double.
Wide open, Marley.
Marley does not have his legs in his shot. Everything is short. In the playoff, his percentage are way down. Many times that's because you played heavy minutes and you just don't have the normal lift in your legs.
The open man, Benson Askew on the baseline. Askew's not been shooting well enough. Timeout, Phoenix. With 5:40 to go in the game, and Phoenix leading it by 15 points and seemingly in control of this game. Suns lead it by 15, 5:40 to go in the ball game. We've got 4 out of 5 nights of playoff action for you on TNT this week. Tomorrow night, Tuesday night, Game 2 in the Eastern Conference from Madison Square Garden. Ron Thulin and Hubie Brown will have that. Doug and I will be back here at America West Arena on Wednesday nights for Game 2 in this series at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Tomorrow night's game will start at 8. Ricky Pierce on the bench. Pierce got 4 fouls, came in, scored some points at the beginning of the half, got that offensive foul called on him, went to the bench, and has not been very effective since.
You see 3 for 8 on the night, and this sort of talks about the perimeter woes of this Seattle team. They have not been able to shoot the outside shot, only 41% on the evening. And one of the things George Karl said to us today is we must shoot the ball well. With 41% on the road, they'll not get it done.
Oliver Miller has been the man in this game. He has 13 points, 5 blocks, 7 rebounds. Askew on the drive. Nice play off the glass. Seattle in that Houston series played very well in Seattle and very poorly, frankly, in Houston.
They were blown out every game in Houston. You're looking right now at a possible 17, 18-point game tonight if they don't make a run here to finish off this last 4.5 minutes.
To Askew. Miller.
Well, this guy's been everywhere. Offensive rebounding, defensive rebounding, scoring, shot blocking. He's been terrific.
Fourth quarter, Miller. In the fourth quarter, Miller has 8 rebounds. Seattle only 5. That's just in the fourth quarter. Barkley.
Here's Charles at his best, stepping out and shooting a 3. All the hustle plays tonight have gone to the Phoenix Suns. That's normally what happens when you're at home. This crowd gets you all juiced up and you make the extra effort. Seattle almost unbeatable on their home court, as Phoenix has been all season long, although Seattle beat them once here late in the season.
In command of this first game of the Western Conference Finals, Doug, you were talking about the perimeter problems. They've been having, Seattle, perimeter shooting problems in the playoffs, and even worse tonight.
Well, you see Pierce down 7%, Payton 6%, Johnson 9%, McMillan 9% from the regular season. You look at tonight, McMillan 33%, Pierce 37.5%, Johnson 33%. Overall, the team is shooting 41%, so they're scoring from the regular season at 108. Is down to 96 in the playoffs, and that's because they're not shooting the outside shot, and people are not letting them get out and run into the open court, so their shots are becoming more contested in the half court.
Kevin Johnson content to dribble away the shot clock here late in the ball game, then takes the shot over Barrows. Barkley with a rebound, and to put and Charles scores his first basket of the second half. It's on Oliver Miller. Make it Dan Marley. And that'll be Marley's 3rd.
See, Dan Marley, what he brings to this team is such good defense. He's a guy that you could put on a Ricky Pierce or an Eddie Johnson to try to take them out of the game. So you do not judge his statistics, what he brings to this team. He just brings you that stopper. He'll spot up and shoot the three, although he's not done that well in the playoffs. But he's really an invaluable member of this team because he's a guy that you say, hey, guard this guy, and if you don't score a point for us, the 40 minutes you give us is going to be what we need to keep that man out of the game.
93-78 Phoenix. 3.5 to go in this game. I think George Karl's about to mail it in because we start seeing him clear the bench here in a moment.
Guess who? Oliver Miller.
Fouled from behind.
See what he just did. You know, it looks routine, but Barkley's double team, he throws him a very close pass in traffic, and Oliver Miller catches it. Now watch this. I mean, that's a close pass under heavy guard, and he pump fakes and get the foul, but you think, oh, well, you know, you're supposed to do that. That's not an easy catch.
And Sean Kemp is hurting on the sideline. We'll check to see what's wrong with him. Miller in this fourth quarter, who's at the free throw line now, has 3 for 3 for 9 points. 8 rebounds. Not sure still on what the kick. It looks like his right leg.
I don't think it's his knee. It looks like it might be below the knee, maybe his shin or his lower leg.
3:18 to go in the ball game. Barros to Payton. They'll open up the ball again. Rebound Frank Johnson.
The perimeter shooting just continues to haunt Seattle. They're getting nothing in the paint, and Phoenix is just going to keep packing it back in there.
Kevin Johnson with a great hesitation move.
He's really moving well. His knee is healthy now. First couple rounds of the playoffs, he was still a little gimpy. He has that explosive step now to get all the way to the basket.
Askew explodes to the basket and will have a three-point opportunity.
I think you're going to see right now a lot of trading baskets. Phoenix has lost their urge, I guess, to play defense at this point in time, realizing they have a big lead. So it's going to be, I think, you score, me score.
Westphal meets with his team on the sideline. Oliver Miller has played very big tonight in this ball game, rebounding well, scoring well, blocking the shots. We have 2:42 to go in Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Tomorrow night at 8 Eastern Time, we will have the Chicago Bulls and the New York Knicks from Madison Square Garden. You look at the bench scoring. The Suns bench, led by Miller with 13, has just been very explosive.
And what's the difference in the game? 15 points. So it's all right there on the bench, and you'd expect Seattle to have a little bit deeper team right now, although Phoenix has been deep. Again, we've talked about in the playoffs, they've gone from a team that had 7 guys in double figures to a team with only 4.
And in tonight's game, Doug, both Eddie Johnson and Ricky Pierce have had foul trouble and thus limited minutes.
Never got themselves on track tonight. Never got in that rhythm. About the time Ricky Pierce got started, he got his 4th foul and has not been back since. Credit the Phoenix defense.
5 seconds for Barkley on the double team. Now Frank Johnson has 2, has to launch it. And of course tonight it's going to drop. .97-81. Suns by 16 with 2 minutes to go. Askew fouled by Miller.
In the penalty, foul was on number 34, Charles Barkley.
Check that, it's on Barkley. Away from the ball on Scheffler. And Charles will sit down. He's finished for the night anyway.
I think it's a good move by Paul Westphal, and I tell you why. It's because Charles is disinterested at this point in time. They have a 16-point lead, and he just took Scheffler and pulled him down as he was trying to post him. So with 2 minutes to go, the worst thing that could happen is a disinterested Charles Barkley twists an ankle or does something that could haunt you then on Wednesday night. I think that's an excellent substitution.
Phoenix will just pull it out here and run some clock.
2 minutes, 2 minutes.
Kevin Johnson says, I don't run clock. Just give me an open floor and take it to the hoop. The foul's on Scheffler.
Barkley, I wonder if he got kicked in the knee. He's got some ice on the knee, or is it just his hamstring that he's been having problems with?
Well, that wrapping is not in the hamstring area. I mean, it's directly over his knee.
Well, if the ice
reaches down that
yeah,
far.
if it goes behind the knee, that's right where the hamstring attaches. So if it's low, that could be a problem down there. You just don't know.
Right, no way to tell. As a matter of fact, the way he has his knee bent, it looks as though it is not a knee and probably is simply ice of the hamstring. He had a typical humorous thing with Charles Barkley. He said in Game 5 and 6 of the San Antonio series, he said, these guys gave me some shots of cortisone and it really helped my hamstring. And the doctor said, Charles, it was anti-inflammatory medicine. We didn't give you cortisone. Don't be putting that in the press. We didn't shoot you with that.
Well, he also said, whatever it is, you ain't paying enough for it because I feel great.
That's right.
I'm sure the pharmaceutical company will let the Suns know that.
A new commercial for Charles. Kevin Johnson sits down, and now we're going to see the bench on the floor here. One of the other people who've been absent in this ball game in terms of scoring late is Sam Perkins. 3 for 11 tonight. There were all threes, 3 rebounds, and didn't play the last 15 minutes of the game.
He was 3 for 3 from the three-point line and 0 for 8 from the two-point line. You figure that out.
Perkins opened the game defending Charles Barkley. Barkley has been held to about half his usual point production in this game tonight, but it hasn't hurt Phoenix at all. Scheffler with the putback.
Now it'll be interesting when we see both coaches either tomorrow or Wednesday. What adjustments, what they see on the film, where do they think they can attack? What did you like about the game? What didn't you like? And I'm sure when we talk to George Karl, the one thing he's going to talk about is their shooting. That if they don't shoot the ball well, regardless of what they do in their other phase of the game, they're just not going to be able to score enough points to win.
Marley to Miller. That's the punctuation mark for Oliver Miller night here at America West Arena. 15 points and 10 boards and 5 blocks. So this one's going to be over in 37 seconds. 101-85. And Phoenix came out in the second half, took great care of the ball, only led by 4 at the half.
Yeah, you see the 10-plus points during the regular season. Seattle's number 1 and Phoenix is number 2, so you can see that these teams are normally used to blowing teams out during the course of the season. But I always felt, Bob, that when you came off an emotional series, that it was either going to carry over and help you in the next series or that you would get a little flat. And I think in the second half, Seattle just went flat. And Phoenix jumped all over them.
Barrows to Scheffler, who will go to the free throw line with 19.6 seconds left.
Number 22, Danny Ainge, is full.
So Ricky Pierce, who had only 6 points tonight, Michael Cage, who had only 4. Derek McKee, Eddie Johnson struggled, carried 4 fouls. Sam Perkins has been on the bench most of the second half, so Seattle will have to regroup. And George Karl did tell us today that obviously he didn't want to lose the game, but he said, you know, we've got some things we're going to try, some wrinkles we're going to try tonight, but we'll see how they work, kind of get a feel for how to play Phoenix, and then, of course, game 2, the big adjustment.
Well, he had not seen Perkins on Barkley, so he'll have to decide whether he likes that matchup. Remember, he said, I don't know what to expect from Oliver Miller. This guy's the wild card, but he knows what to expect now.
No kidding. We could have told him, huh? Johnson to Miguel Knight, who's just off the bench, and will break into the scoring column. Gerald Patio hits the jumper. The final score of this ball game, Suns 105, Sonics 91. Oliver Miller with a whale of a night for the rookie. Let's go to Ernie Johnson at our studios in Atlanta. Then we'll talk to Oliver Miller.
All right, thank you, Bob. Back here with Isaiah Thomas. And you said when the night began, Game 1 is when you expect the home team to blow them out, and that's certainly what happened in America West. That's usually what happens. The home team has a lot of time to prepare. They're feeling good about themselves. They've practiced all week long, drilled. They usually come out, shoot the ball well. Game 2 is usually the game that, teams try to steal. That comes up Wednesday night, 105-91, the final here. Now, let's talk about inside the NBA. Yeah, that's coming up next. They've got the highlights of this game. Fred Hickman and Mike Glenn. Also the story on Lenny Wilkins, who resigned in Cleveland today. Tomorrow night here on TNT, John Starks who had that big game 1 against the Bulls. 25 points, 13 of those coming in the fourth quarter. Knicks with a 1-0 lead over the Bulls. Game 2 in that best of 7 comes your way tomorrow night with an encore presentation at 1:30 in the morning. So if you missed it at 8 o'clock Eastern, you can catch it 1:30 Eastern or 10:30 Pacific. Seattle and Phoenix Game 2 is Wednesday. Phoenix at Seattle Game 3 is Friday, 9 p.m. And Isaiah, you'll be happy to know you're back tomorrow night. You'll be hosting that 1:30 a.m. show. Now let's go back. Let's go back to America West, guys.
That's going to cost a lot of money to pay Isaiah Thomas to host the show that late, Ernie Johnson. So dig deep. 105-91, Phoenix with the win here. And Oliver Miller, 11 points, 8 rebounds in the fourth quarter alone. Talk about what turned this game for Phoenix. What did you feel got it really rolling? You only led by 4 points at the half.
We stepped up on our defense. We were really aggressive. We were jumping on the ball, and we just attacked their press. And we didn't really worry about their press. We just kept attacking it and scoring the baskets.
Now, you had one of your best games in the playoffs, although you've been playing very well in the playoffs. Doug Collins and I have been talking about how Charles Barkley has befriended you, and the two of you are close, and he served as somewhat of an inspiration to you, I know, without putting words in your mouth. What about that relation with Barkley and what it means to you as a rookie?
Well, it means a lot to me. I look up to Charles a lot. He's my idol. And what I do is basically try to take the same intensity and attitude to the game as he does. And it helps me out a lot. And, I just want to be consistent. And I see him working hard out there, and I just want to go out and do the same to help the team win.
First the performance, then come the commercials. Charles tell you that too?
No.
Doug?
Oliver, the first 2 games in the Lakers series, you didn't play much. Very sporadic minutes. And then Paul Westphal went to you, helped turn that series around. That Game 3, is that really when you started to show in the playoffs?
Yeah, I started showing in Game 3, and with the situation, I just wanted to keep my confidence up. I knew when I was called on, I just had to go out there and play. I didn't have to worry about the first 2 games. I just had to go out and play my best game, and that's what I did when I was called on.
Well, I think it's important also as you guys get deeper in the playoffs, with you being a rookie, the fact that you give the Phoenix Suns so much size. Without you, you're a relatively small team, and Seattle's a team that can hurt you on the board, so the importance of you playing well in this series, I think, is the utmost.
Well, all I want to do is just be consistent and go out and help the team. And by that, it's just playing tough defense, crashing rebounds, and, when I get an open shot, I just take it and knock it down, and just let the game come to me. I don't worry about anything. I just let the game come to me. I don't want to rush anything. Just be patient.
Would you say that's your philosophy on your shot blocking? You're becoming known for that.
Well, yeah, I just wait and just perfect timing. When they go up, I just want to get my long goings in the air. If I can just deflect it in any way, that's what I want to do. So I just go out and, just make them change their shots.
Oliver Miller is our Budweiser player of the game. 15 points, 10 rebounds, 5 blocks, and a big fourth quarter to help put away the Seattle SuperSonics in game number 1. Congratulations, Oliver. We'll be back here to wrap it up from America West Arena in just a moment. The Phoenix Suns have the 105-91 victory. Well, the home teams have held serve in the conference finals. New York beating Chicago in the first game, and now Phoenix 105-91 over Seattle. And the Suns take a 1-0 lead in this Western Conference series. Chicago will try to even it tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Ron Thule and Hubie Brown will have that game for you from Madison Square Garden. Doug and I will be back here at America West Arena Friday night at 9 Eastern Time. We'll watch the adjustments that'll be made by George Karl against these Phoenix Suns. So the conference finals are underway. Coming up next, inside the NBA, Fred Hickman and Mike Glenn. For Doug Collins, this is Bob Neal saying thanks for joining us from Phoenix, Arizona.